but that's nearly impossible on this battle. Sledgehammer and Snafu try to help Lieutenant Hillbilly back to a medic, but he's hit through the chest while he's on the stretcher. The rough and tough Sergeant Haney breaks down from it all. And just when things couldn't get any worse, Captain Haldane gets killed by a sniper.
Sniper got the skipper.
Captain Haldane?
XX did.
Out of all the men in the 1st Marine Division, this was the guy they respected the most. They would follow him into any battle. So this is a really hard blow to everyone. And guess what? This is actually a victory. Yeah, the Battle of Peleliu ended right after Captain Haldane was killed. Does it seem like a victory at all? Hell no! Nothing seems like a victory in this movie. And that's part of what makes it so great. It doesn't matter if you're on a winning side or a losing side. It's all going to suck and be miserable. So, Peleliu was some messed up stuff. It took 3 episodes to get through. Moving right along to episode 8, the story starts to go back to John Basilone while he's on his Bond tour. However, like all war heroes, he feels like his purpose is in the Marine Corps and not in the spotlight. Once he's sent to the 5th Marine Division, he starts training 2 new recruits, Private Chuck Tatum and Private Steve Evanson, a couple of green teenagers who want to be the next John Wayne. I like it because they come off as real cocky, but once Basilone starts training them, they realize that they're not so tough. They can't even set up a machine gun properly.
You cannot fuck this up. Ever. Lives depend on it.
Basilone becomes frustrated with his situation training new recruits. He's a good drill instructor, but all the recruits are clumsy and uncoordinated. He does, however, take interest in a female NCO at the base named Lena. She plays hard to get with him. He tries to be polite and smooth when talking to her, but she just keeps bringing up how she remembers what a womanizer he was during his Bond tour.
You know I saw you once at the Brown Derby. Me and the girls were waiting to get in when you arrived with one of those blonde starlets on your arm. There you went, right to the front of the line. And everyone was saying, ooh, there goes John Basilone, the hero of Guadalcanal. The line to get in was so long, I was still there when out you came, a brunette starlet on your arm, and back into the same limousine. And everyone said, ooh, there goes John Basilone, the hero of Guadalcanal.
But eventually, she starts to take a liking to him. They both have a lot in common. 2 Italian Americans from a big traditional family who just love the Marine Corps. Their relationship is kinda different. Even when they're having coffee together, they talk in military lingo. But it's perfect. I think once they start actually being a couple, it gave Basilone an initiative to harden the recruits in his company. I like the speech he gives to his men about the Japanese.
I'm so sick of this shit. Just want to get out there and slap a Jap.
What did you say?
Said I want to slap a Jap, Gunny?
Slap a Jap. That's what the enemy is to you, huh? A fucking buck-toothed cartoon dreamed up by some asshole on Madison Avenue to sell soap. Now let me tell you something. The Jap I know, the Japanese soldier, he has been at war since you were in fucking diapers! He's a combat veteran, an expert with his weapon. A Japanese soldier doesn't care if he gets hurt or killed, as long as he kills you. Now, you can call him whatever you want, but never, ever fail to respect their desire to put you and your buddies into an early grave. Is that clear? Yes, Johnny!
It's true. Never underestimate your enemy. Eventually, Basilone re-enlists, which means that he will be joining his company when they're shipped out to war. He tells Lena, thinking that she might dump him because of it, but she actually understands it. If she could fight in combat, she would have probably done the same. So because of this, John and Lena get married. It's happy, but at the same time kinda sad. The reason why they got married so quickly was because they know that he's not going to be around that much longer. He might even get killed. Well, in no time at all, Basilone is shipped out with his company onto Iwo Jima. The battle sequence is amazing. I've heard Iwo Jima veterans talk about what it was like once they landed, and this is exactly how they described it. Men being mowed down, body parts and guts scattered all over the place, and the whole island being made of black sand. Now don't get me wrong, Flags of Our Fathers and Letters from Iwo Jima did a great job at showing the battle, but this was just so insane and real. I really love movies that don't seem like a movie. It seems like it's really happening. And this was as real as it gets without being, well, real. Anyway, just like on Guadalcanal, Basilone is an unstoppable fighting machine. When you watch him fight on Guadalcanal, you might think, yeah, he just got lucky. There's no way he could do any of that again. But no, he is truly a bad mofo. He fires the machine gun from the hip again, but this time he uses a bale which won't burn his hands. He leads his men through the Japanese trenches, blowing through them like nothing. Once they get off the beach, he goes back to try and get more men and armor off the beach. Alright, now, like I said before, and I'm embarrassed to admit this, I didn't know who John Basilone was before I saw this show. Everything I saw about him was new to me, and I know that there were a lot of people out there who already knew his story, and they knew what was next to come. So what happened to Basilone on Iwo Jima totally hit me off guard. Yeah, Basilone dies on Iwo Jima. I couldn't believe it. My reaction was just like Tatum and Evanson's. But it also made sense to me. In the previous episodes, I was wondering why it kept briefly jumping over to him during his Bond tour in the United States. I thought, yeah, he won the Medal of Honor, why do we need to keep concentrating on him? But episode 8, which is entirely about him, shows that the war didn't end with him riding off into the sunset. He was a true hero because he went back and lost his life doing his job. Most men wouldn't even dream of doing that. So episode 8, the last one with Basilone, is amazing. The 9th episode goes back to Sledgehammer with his friends as they fight on Okinawa in the final days of the war. When it comes to brutality, this episode gets really out of control, and that's saying a lot. Okinawa is a dreadful, muddy place where it rains non-stop, and Okinawa civilians are getting mowed down by crossfire. The Japanese are done for. They barely have any men or any territory on the island, so they fight as savagely as they possibly can. The island is full of bodies. It's like they're becoming a part of the earth. It's a war that's already over, but somehow it just keeps going, causing more people to die for no reason. Sledgehammer starts to lose it. He kind of becomes a psycho killer.
Jesus, Sledge, leave him.
What for? He's a Jap, ain't he?
Even Snafu starts to lose it, but it's more of a mental breakdown. I can't blame them for losing it, though, after seeing a woman blow herself up with her baby, having to mow down civilians because the Japanese are using them as shields, and falling on top of a decaying body covered in maggots. Damn. The episode kind of ends how episode 7 did. They come through victoriously, but there is absolutely no satisfaction in it. All this crap had to happen just because the Japanese didn't want to call it quits? What a waste. It ends with them finding out that they dropped the atomic bomb on Hiroshima. This is probably the most anti-war episode in the whole series. There's some sort of running line about kill Japs.
I hope we get to kill every last one of them.
We were all sent here to kill Japs, weren't we? What the hell difference does it make what weapon we use?
What's your problem? He's a Jap. We're here to kill Japs, ain't we?
Vaporized an entire city in the blink of an eye. Anyway, killed a lot of Japs.
It's a great episode, but really extreme. And that's appropriate because it's the end of the war. Now for the final episode, number 10. This one is probably my favorite episode, even though the war is over. It's about everyone getting back home and trying to move on. Yeah, kinda like The Deer Hunter, but much better. Lecky comes back into the story. We see that he's healed from his wounds. Once he gets home, he gets some unusual treatment.
There, you can keep the change.
I ain't touching that. Might have jumped into Normandy, but at least I got some liberties in London and Paris. You gyrenes, you got nothing but jungle rot and malaria. Welcome home.
And just like how Lecky talked about in episode 3, his parents are a bunch of pessimists.
You've just given us some warning, a phone call or a telegram or something.
No wonder he wanted to live in Melbourne. Then we see Sledgehammer, Snafu, and Bergen on a train heading back home. Bergen is the first to leave.
Thanks. For doing all you did to keep us from getting our full headshot off.
You're good Marines.
I like the part when he gets off the train and hugs his dad, then hugs his little brother. To them, this is very bizarre. They're not used to seeing him like that. Snafu is the second to leave. The scene is great character development. Sledgehammer is unfortunately asleep, and Snafu would have to wake him up to say goodbye. But he doesn't. It shows you that he's not the type of person who would show an emotional or caring side. He'd rather walk away than say goodbye. And there isn't anyone waiting for him. He just steps off the train and blends into the crowd. Sledgehammer finally arrives home in Alabama with his old friend Sid there waiting for him. We jump back to Lecky and see that he's got his reporting job back. He's also still interested in that girl he kept writing letters to. I like the part when his mother catches him spying on her from across the street. It shows that their relationship is a little edgy.
You a Jap? Honestly, because you sneak up like one.
But Lecky actually mans up and decides to try and take her out. He has no idea what to expect after seeing her again, but she obviously likes him a little because she dumps an army officer to go out with him. But it's pretty awkward. They don't know what to say to each other. Finally, he starts telling her about his experiences overseas and all the letters he wrote to her that he didn't send.
I didn't think I was gonna make it, so it didn't matter if I sent him or not.
Can I read them now?
I don't have them anymore. Rain on Cape Gloucester erased every word.
What were they like, these letters?
Best stuff I ever wrote.
Lecky and Vera start dating, and there's a great scene when Lecky's family sit down to have dinner with them. For some reason, they're arguing about this new invention called TV. Lecky and Vera think it sounds cool, but Lecky's family is very negative toward the whole thing. He finally comes out and says,
"You know what I fought for?
Television."
It's funny because he's obviously throwing it in their faces what he thinks, but I think it also meant that he fought for the future of his country. It also shows that Lecky and Vera will share a future together. It's a happy ending to Lecky, but it also makes you kind of sad because I thought that he might go back to Melbourne to find Stella again. It just seemed like he would be happier over there, but he'll obviously be very happy with Vera.